Hello, everybody. Welcome to Galaxy Brains, where we expand your mind to the point that it must contract. I am Patrick Daugherty, joined by Denny Carter. And Denny, I hear you want to get us going today with a little old quote from our friend Jalen Reagor, the fantasy legend Jalen Reagor.
He is. And this is important because, he was, recently traded to the Vikings. And
be a special teamer.
To be a special teamer. Now, the Vikings special teams coach, Matt Daniels, and we know that special teams coach are a different breed, really, as far as NFL coaches go. He said of Jalen Reagor today, actually, quote, and this is a quote, okay? This is not, no one's making anything up here, okay? On Galaxy Brains, we give you the facts. Quote, he's a very stout, cocky-built guy, narrow, thick, strong legs, big glutes, really nice calves. It's not over. It's not over.
What?
I was salivating over this dude. Now, I've never heard any coach talk this way about any player. And honestly, if the team around the special teams coach believes the same thing or even close to the same thing about how great Jalen Reagor is, I think snap shares for Adam Thielen and everybody else, Justin Jefferson, are possibly in trouble because you know what? I've never heard a Vikings coach compliment Justin Jefferson's glutes. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it sounds like two things. One, we're no longer doing phrasing in Minnesota. And two, 100 kick return touchdowns for Jalen Reagor. And like every game, so Fox sends, I don't even know who Fox's number one broadcast team is right now, but they send their number one broadcast team to Minnesota. They come back from halftime and Kevin Burkhardt's like, well, it's 98-0 after Jalen Reagor returned again, 14 more kicks for touchdowns. So we're going to send you now to the Commanders game. We're really sorry. We thought we were going to have a good game today between the Vikings and Bucks, but Jalen Reagor is unstoppable.
But Jalen Reagor's glutes and calves are unstoppable. That's really what the issue is.
Yeah, it seemed like body part by body part.
It really did. It went all the way down.
With each body part, made a conscious decision that we are no longer doing phrasing.
We're going to comment on every one. And again, I have not heard the same from Adam Thielen. We should adjust.
Yeah, we're gonna. It's a meeting of the shows here. We're gonna adjust the ranks on that one. Denny, power hitting San Francisco Giants lefty Jock Peterson made waves earlier this year when he was slapped by Tommy Pham, former St. Louis Cardinals great Tommy Pham, and was party to Tommy Pham, calling future Hall of Famer Mike Trout, quote, the worst commissioner in fantasy sports. It was quite the controversy, but it had died down until recently when Peterson suddenly and mysteriously sat out 3 straight games against the Giants' arch rival and his former club, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And sure, you could claim it's because the Dodgers started 3 straight left-handers, and Jock Peterson does not start against left-handers because he can't hit left-handers. But let's be real. I mean, he was drafting every single day and wasn't even with the team. He showed up to pinch hit once or twice, but Jock Peterson was drafting 24 hours a day, Monday to Wednesday, correct?
Jock Peterson was eyeball deep in spreadsheets going into that week, and it was clear. Yes, he doesn't hit lefties. Okay, sure, that's why he wasn't out there. No, he was grinding best ball. He was grinding. He was grinding seasonal leagues, dynasty, contract leagues, keeper league. It's all he was doing it all. Obviously, he's a fantasy head. There's no shame in it. Honestly, he should be honest about it.
The conspiracy goes deep in baseball. It's just been a rough few years for baseball, rocked by one controversy after another. Commissioner Rob Manfred was basically run off the street in New York today, trying to go to his office. The press surrounded him, hounded him. Why is Jock Peterson drafting? Why is Jock Peterson not facing the Los Angeles Dodgers? Perhaps why is Jock Peterson not playing in my head-to-head league fantasy quarterfinals for my brother-in-law, who added him to play against me and is now furious that he never plays? We want to know, but Rob Manfred, he's dodging the question. And Jock Peterson is just frankly shameful.
We need truth here more than anything.
We do need truth.
You may have seen this week a pretty explosive ESPN story about the parting of ways between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. It said that Seattle GM John Schneider actually called after the trade that sent Wilson to Denver. He called the Saints and other teams who had been interested, obviously, in Russell Wilson and said, I'm sorry, but we had to make this deal with Denver because, and I'm paraphrasing here, we had to have Drew Lock. We were deeply interested in Drew Lock. So what I'm saying, Pat, is that Drew Lock was not a throw-in to a to a very questionable trade, maybe the worst trade of the past 5 years. I'm trying to be generous. He wasn't a throw-in. He was part of the reason that Seattle wanted to deal with Denver. What say you as a Missouri alum? What say you?
Well, it's quite clear that Seahawks GM John Schneider and perhaps Seahawks coach Pete Carroll have not watched a college football game since the 2018 AutoZone Liberty Bowl, where the University of Missouri was handled 38-33 by Oklahoma State. But Drew Lock, he was 23 of 38. They gained 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Frankly, you can actually find the game on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the entire game, the announcer's like, well, Drew Lock, this looks like a man who's going to be starting for the Seattle Seahawks in 5 years. Like, it's destiny. And they actually went on and on and on about this. I actually had to mute the game. I'm a Mizzou alum. I'm watching the game. I'm like, all right, enough about this destiny of Drew Lock to the Seahawks.
So Schneider bought in. He bought in to this propaganda. He apparently didn't watch any of Drew Lock's. Let me check a minute. Yes, any of his NFL snaps. No. That's what he didn't watch because look, I'm not a game. I've never watched a game, and you can't make me.
We're trying. We have a fleet of lawyers en route to your house, by the way, because the season starts this Sunday, and you are being assigned games. And it says in your employment agreement that you will watch them.
I refuse, but I have sensed that Drew Lock is bad just from Twitter conversations, and apparently the Seahawks did not get the memo.
No, they have not gotten the memo. And again, the 2018 AutoZone Liberty Bowl was a good college game. Mizzou lost. That's kind of what we do. But I would recommend to John Schneider and Pete Carroll to maybe watch a second college football game. Do it this weekend, please. Denny, a Chiefs reporter was asked earlier this week. He asked Patrick Mahomes, what will surprise people about the Chiefs offense this year? And Mahomes, he issued a pre-apology to fantasy managers and basically said he was going to feature a different player every week, playing into our worst nightmares about the Chiefs' post Tyreek Hill receiver core. Like, 1 week, it's going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. The next week, it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling. The next week, it's Sky Moore. The next week, it's Mecole Hardman. Yep. The next week, it's some guy who I've never even heard of who was on the practice squad in week 2. And basically, he's trying to be nice about it, but he's basically saying he's going to drink fantasy manager crocodile tears. But you do have a theory. You actually picked up on something in his quote that I didn't. So what was that? You
read the quote, and one thing you don't see is tight end. And so maybe he's just saying, guys, I'm just going to check down to Travis Kelce 100 times per game this year. So I don't know what to say. None of our receivers are any good, so it's going to be Kelce all day. Maybe that's what he meant. But yeah, no. I was actually surprised that Mahomes's quote didn't end with "Are you triggered?"
Are you triggered that Justin Watson is about to have 229 targets, but only in one game?
Hey, don't joke. Justin Watson's going to be a thing.
They target Justin Watson 229 times in one game to counter the 100 Jalen Reagor kick returns that have been scored against the Chiefs.
That's the analytics, folks.
That is the analytics. And speaking of analytics, Denny, I believe Jerry Jones indulged in some analytics earlier this week, and you'd like to tell the viewers about it.
He did. Jerry Jones, after a very questionable, iffy offseason in which the Cowboys added nothing to the team, really, he said to a reporter that going into the 2022 season, he has to believe that, quote, 1 + 1 is 3. The quote continues, you have to have optimism. You have to look at the best outcome. So the best outcome for the Cowboys is that math is not real. I think that's what he's saying is that he has to engage in some like Orwellian numbers fixing,
double speed,
right? To say that the Cowboys will be good this year, and that's what happens when maybe you got rid of your best receiver, just saying, and your offensive line is in shambles, and you didn't add anything, like I said, anything to a defense that's primed for regression.
What you're saying is that the party got to Jerry Jones, basically, and that he's been convinced that 1-on-1. He goes, at first, he said, you have to believe that. Do you really have to believe that?
You don't have to.
I feel like you can actually concoct cases to be optimistic about the 2022 Dallas Cowboys that do not include rending math and like ending math. I feel like it might not be as good as last year, but I mean, you can definitely make the playoffs.
I've never heard a more alarming quote from a guy so intimately involved in team building. I mean, he put this team together, and now he's like, well, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll lose 11 games. Maybe we'll lose 13. We'll see.
Well, we promised that we would expand your mind to the point where it had to contract. It sounds like Jerry Jones accidentally barreled past that point, and his brain has exploded. And he's working on getting it back together. We are working on entertaining you and ending the show. Thank you so much for joining Galaxy Brains, where it's just the facts. It's just the quotes. It's just me. It's just Denny. And we'll be back next week. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.